preparing for this interview, I listened to your recording of Out Here on My Own that you performed with your dad all those years ago, and
Yeah.
I thought that's a fun place to kind of start. What do you feel when you listen to that now, when you hear it now? I just hear such that youthful voice, and you sound so adorable. And how do you feel when you kind of revisit that now? And of course, thinking about your dad, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, it's a lovely memory to have had that time, with my dad in his favorite place. You know what I mean? Like I got to kind of know him and be with him, not for a long time because he passed away when I was 10, but I
Right.
got to be in his world. And so we had this kind of other layer as well as just father daughter. And so I'm really happy that, we had that. And I mean, it's funny. It's a bit like looking at your yearbook,
Right.
right? And so when you look at your yearbook when you're 7, it feels that's what that feels like to me.
Right.
Except my yearbook is all over the internet, and people have this like, affection for that time and for that story and that song. And I mean, it was just a crazy phenomenon that happened. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, a part of it. You know what I mean? I can't explain it. We didn't try to have such success, and it just all happened. It was just like this crazy whirlwind. So when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's that time, in my life. I feel a world away from it now, obviously, as you do.
Sure.
Um, but I'm also, happy that it exists, and I'm happy that it's not some cheeseball song.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's a really great song, and I thought it was done really well. So thank God that's not haunting me and following me around.
Right. Well, it had to be done. It had to be done well, of course, because you had, your dad was there helping you out, and I'm sure helping to put that thing together. And also, congratulations to you, the first person I've spoken with that's ever performed with Frank Sinatra, and that's
Oh,
another
right.
golden memory of yours, I'm sure. And I had somebody that wrote a song. For him, and I think
Oh, cool.
but never performed with him. So thanks for being that person for the show.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, listen, I had a crazy growing up, but I didn't think it was crazy,
Right.
obviously looking back, and I'm like, oh, that's, but it was kind of, normal for me, because that was my dad's crew,
That was your life,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But looking back, it's nuts.
It's wild. And of course, we're here today to discuss your latest album, which is called Dirty Disco, the Dirty
Yeah.
Disco. And it's a very dance-oriented album. And, this is genre also that you have a history with. And so, what was kind of your approach on this new record?
The last record I made was Nika and Strings, and that was a real diversion from what I had recently, what I had been making in my adult life, but not a diversion from my childhood life, which so I was kind of coming back to my roots. And I really love singing with strings, and I was just this side kind of project that I was just doing live that just kind of escalated and became a record, which I'm really proud of. But it's very very different. It's with a quartet and a kind of small band like bass, drums, piano, and we did some covers and we did some reworks of my songs, some that I had recorded over the years.
By the way,
Um,
that is a beautiful record. And did you know as you can see, I'm a record collector. It's
yeah,
a
I
very
love it.
the vinyl recording of that, which came out, is incredibly valuable. It's like $100, $200 record. Did you know that?
Hey, I did not know that.
Yeah, you can't get it. And there's not even one for sale that I've recently looked. You couldn't even pick one up if you
See,
wanted to.
I make collectibles.
You make collectible. Well, it's prime for a reissue. Is that so? Do you have the masters and rights to that? Can you reissue the
I
thing?
do. It's hard for me to keep track of what I own and what I don't own, but yes, I do have the. Yes, I do. So maybe on its birthday. Who knows? I
Let's
need to
do
write
this.
that down. Thanks for the info. I
Uh,
kind of do them and then I move right on. I don't know. I don't like, but that's good. That's good to know. Yeah. I mean, that was we made that record in a day.
no kidding. It's really a
Yeah.
great record.
Thank you. We recorded it live and anyway, but Dirty Disco, because it'd been 6 years and so much had happened. We've been through the pandemic and and I was coming out and I wanted to make a new record and I wanted to make a funk record again. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be happy. And I felt like I just didn't want any more heavy. Like we're in our phones all the time and we're doom scrolling and the election. I mean, it's just everything, the world, the
Right.
chaos, the hell. So I just wanted to make something that was joyful and positive and up and vibey and just for myself, but also I feel like that's what everyone needs right now, so that's what I was trying to give to give to the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And you gave it, and talk a little bit about your musical influences, maybe the ones in particular that we hear on this recording. I can feel some
Mm,
Prince in there for sure. And
yeah.
what are some of your touchstones when it comes to this genre of music that people can
Well, I
expect to
mean,
hear on this
listen,
album?
Prince is a huge influence, always has been. And he mentored me for 15 years as well. So I had a very, strong relationship with him and connection, and we toured a lot and we played a lot and we talked a lot. And so, he's just around. And as a musician who loves funk and soul, like, you know, there's no getting away from his influence,
Right.
whether or not you know him or not. Um, so definitely him. And I think, listening back and hearing, there was a lot of like, my childhood, I spent a lot of time roller skating and in that like, zap, kind of era and early hip hop, like I don't know, white lines and like I don't know, there was all this kind of like keyboard and it was very synthy and yeah, so there was a lot of that. I mean, it's funny, I was asked to make a playlist that was inspired by what I was listening to make the record, and I don't really do that. I don't
Mm,
I mean, I made it, but it didn't make any sense because I don't go and go, "Oh, let me take from these songs and see." I mean, I do know people that do that. I really don't. What I was listening to was my 11-year-old's freaking Spotify playlist that he won't let me DJ in the car. And it's like Eminem and Travis Scott and
right.
all this other that makes no sense to my rec. But I tried to kind of figure it out. And really I just was like, I want songs you can roller skate to. I mean, it really was just that, spandex, glitter, Studio 54, but like before they all started just doing drugs. I don't know,
Right.
drugs,
Oh,
drugs,
it's
drugs.
funny. It's funny that you mentioned the roller skating rink, because I'm of an age where I just as when I was a young man, we used to go to the roller skating rink, and now
Yeah.
that's just a foggy memory. There are no
Oh,
roller skating rinks around anymore, at least not here in
oh,
New Jersey where I am, and it's not a thing that
oh.
people do. But that there was a
But it
great
came
connection
back
with
in the
music.
pandemic.
Oh
It
yeah,
came back. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's made a resurgence, and I mean, yes, a lot of places closed down, even in LA. But I went back to it because I'm the same as you. Like I did it as a kid. This is my favorite thing to do, and then I started taking lessons again when over the pandemic, and just to like brush up. I don't know, whatever. But I love it. Makes me so happy. So
Yeah,
that,
well,
that's
the music in the roller skating rink was, for those of us that were too young to be going to the disco or Studio 54 or anything, that
right.
was our club. That was
Totally.
even though I was slamming myself against the padded walls
Oh.
every turn, I was enjoying the music and the wind going through my hair. That's an experience I feel like the kids don't have much anymore.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I mean, there's one left in LA where I am. a few closed down over the pandemic, but there's one called Moonlight Rollerway, and it's been around since forever. And I take my kids there now because we can, it's something we can kind of do together, and I don't know, it's fun.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
hope
love
you
it.
get them to put the new Nikka Costa album
I know.
on
I
the
gotta give them a vinyl. I wonder if they even spin vinyl. Yeah, I'll have to check that. Cause yeah,
right.
they need to be playing it in the friggin' thing for sure.
What did back to your childhood and sort of that access to just the entertainment industry, and I'm sure you met all kinds of people and saw all sorts of interesting things, and the way that the behind the scenes things happened, and even though you were young, is there anything that you take from those experiences in that time and apply to what you're doing now? Are there some things that you still use, when putting together an album like this?
I mean, I think that I took um a real, like, listen, at this point compared to how kids are making records now, you know, I'm super old school, how we do it, I mean, and I think that is, just what I grew up with, and I hope it doesn't go away. Just there's like a respect for musicians, and when they come in, I really want them to be able to, I mean, we might have some ideas of like, maybe elaborate more on the chorus, or maybe do some pads here or whatever. But really, it's like we call them in because they have these incredible skills and incredible souls, and they're interpreters of sound and mood and emotion. And it's like, um, I want them to be able to express themselves, and so it's real like, just jam out, man, do what you feel, do what you hear, and then we
Right.
kind of, figure out. But I think that is a little lost maybe now with younger. I mean, I think just everything's so piecemealed and cut together and in the computer and perfected.
Right.
So I think that I've taken that with me because when my dad was making records, I mean, they were all in one room. So,
Right.
mistakes were key, and sometimes you fix them, but sometimes you didn't fix them, and that brought like real humanness to the song. Some of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs have like one botched note, or and you sing it. It's like, oh, it's like, it's real. It makes it kind of real. So I definitely think I took that and am keeping that. I'm keeping that.
Cool.
um,
And so tell us a little bit about how you put this record together in the studio. A lot of people are doing things remotely. It sounds like, as you just said, you kind of wanted to stick to the old school way of doing things. So who was the team, and where did you go, and how did you what's the, just the Reader's Digest version of how you produced and recorded the album, and where and with who?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of writing with a friend of mine who named Kaveh Rastagar, and he and I just really clicked musically. He's a producer in his own right and amazing bass player and songwriter, and so we just clicked, and we just started doing little in the kitchen, little minuscule kind of demos in the computer and things. And then I would kind of, and then once I had a few of those with different friends of mine around town that I would just go and kind of write with, I had like, I don't know, however many, 20 songs or whatever. Justin and I, who is my husband, but also has produced all of my records pretty much. We have a studio, so we went in, and then we kind of figure out what songs, are worth, really diving in. And then we would call, various musicians that we knew, that we know, and some that we didn't really know very well, but we're like, hey, would you want to play on this?
Right.
Um, and then they would just come in, and Justin would like build a track for a little bit, a bed or whatever, or and then they'd kind of play on it, and then we just layered it, and everyone was really cool. You know, it was an independent, wasn't a big budget. You know, it's really just like, do you want to jam and do you want to be a part of this? I don't know what I'm making. And I was lucky that, you know, musicians like, we had Greg Fillinganes who played on all the Michael Jackson stuff. I mean, he played on Thriller and Off the Wall and all the things. He came in, and Brandon Coleman, who plays with Thundercat, and Kamasi Washington. And I mean, it just there. I was really lucky. I was really lucky to have such great players, slash friends.
It's Just Love seems like a really strong representation of what you're trying to achieve on the album. It's danceable. It's got a message, the message that I think the album's trying to get out there, and the production is strong and tight. Can you give us a little snapshot into the creation of that song?
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that song. Uh, I have a close relationship with someone who was dating a girl, and this family of this girlfriend were just so not supportive, and really shaming and really awful. And I know it exists, and I know, but I've never really like firsthand. And we're in Los Angeles also, like, we don't, you know what I mean? And it was 2023, and I was just like, what? It just really hit me, uh even though I know it exists, right? I mean, obviously we all know that, homophobia and whatever. But it just really hit me because it was real close to home. And I was so mad at this family. And I went and I wrote this chorus, and it was a ballad. So I just was like singing it. It was like a slow,
Right.
and we went in and we recorded it, and then we wrote the verse. I had all the words, but then we kind of figured out, like, okay, let's add a musical verse and try to fit the words in, and that. And it was a slow song, and we recorded it, and it was just like not living. It
Mhm.
wasn't working. I was like, is it the bass? Is it the drums? Like, why is it not? And then Justin pulled it up one day, and we were gonna try and figure out what was wrong with it. Like, because it was fine, it sounded good, but it didn't give the. And I went in the bathroom, and I came back out, and I was like, oh my God, wait, it's got to go like this. And I sang the whole thing down exactly how you hear it. I mean,
Right.
pretty much like up tempo, totally. It just came in like a whole nother way. And I was like, don't kill me. We have to re record it. And then it came together really fast. So it was supposed to be a celebration with words that are like, you know, what's
Right.
wrong?
Tell me about Connectivity. That's a really ambitious track. That's the closer there, right?
That was the last one we wrote. We needed another song because some other song we were working on didn't live either. It just wasn't matching the thing. And it was a jam that we'd done with Prince Board, an old collaborator friend of ours. And we really loved the end, and we really loved the bass line. And so I had wanted to write a song called comparativity, about like how we're always comparing ourselves, especially now with social media and blah blah blah.
Right.
And then anyway, it didn't become that, but it became connectivity, just about like, yeah, it's just about, we're just here all the time. And when you used to get your car washed and you didn't have a phone,
Mm.
and you might sit next to somebody and you just like daydreaming, and you strike up a conversation with some 80-year-old man who's also waiting for his car, and there's a really cool, conversation that happens, or
Right.
just some little tidbit that, that I think so many of us, myself included, are missing with being, in our phones all the time, with in any scenario where there's downtime. So it was kind of just a reaction to that, and then it kind of grew from there. And then Justin decided to put this whole like meditative
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
trove.
I guess
It's like a song.
that's what I'm kind of alluding to there. You know, it definitely catches your attention. You go, what's going
I
on
know.
here? But it's
Oh,
cool. It's cool.
now we're gonna chill.
Right.
And I think he was just inspired by, because I started meditating like a year ago, and yeah, he was just like, I don't know. I just think it was a nice thing to put, to just um allow for that, chill out, if anyone wants it, or they can
Well,
just ask for
and
it.
it's a high energy album, so it makes sense that the end has this sort of a meditative end. So I like that.
Yeah, and by that time the album was done, so
Right.
you can get, you know you feel like more free, you can get more, if you feel liberated, like you can get more, you know esoteric if you want, or whatever, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
one of my favorites is "Satellite Girl." Really reminds me a little bit more of your earlier R&B, rock and roll stuff. It's a little off the dance floor for a moment.
Yes.
That track. It's a really cool track, and just thought you might want to talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah, that we wrote, Kaveh and I wrote, and then Justin, wrote on it too. We started that in my kitchen, and I was having, I mean, we have a teenage daughter, and at that time it was challenging. I mean, she's amazing, but it wasn't even really about her. It was more like, just at the kitchen table, like you hearing the conversations of, teenagers these days, and especially teenage girls, and all that goes on in their heads, and their self-esteem, and they're trying to find themselves and figure it all out. And so I was kind of just inspired by that, and I was remembering myself being, that age,
Right.
and just, you're kind of just like floating, spiraling. uh, you haven't landed the plane yet. You don't know exactly who you are, and
Sure.
yeah. So it was kind of that, and so it was kind of my little lullaby to all those to all those girls, all her friends, and her, and um yeah. So, and I love do I mean I love, still singing rock, and I mean, it's not like a rock song, but it's in that,
Yeah.
still lives in me.
Well, your
So
voice sounds great. I mean, in particular on that track, are you, how you feeling about your vocals and approaching this stuff, especially since you hadn't really been in the studio for 6 years
yeah. Thank you.
or 7,000 years?
Yeah, 7,000 years. Um, you know, I it's just there. I don't really think about it. I don't do too much thinking about it. It
Mhm.
just, sometimes it's interesting. I mean, now I'm thinking more about it because I'm about to play all these songs live when we go on tour. So now I'm like, how am I going to do Dirty Disco live?
Right.
Like, am I going to be like rapping? Am I going to have like a effect on my voice because I'm literally just talking? So then, that's when I think more about what, and then also going back to older songs where I'm doing way more wailing and things. I have to, uh I don't know, exercise.
Right. Right. You got to get the oxygen
I
flowing
gotta
there. Well,
exercise.
but
Yeah,
between the exercise and the meditation, you'll be fine.
yeah, you know what I mean. It's work life balance.
Right. Right, right, right. Unsubscribe is another one of my favorites on the record. And you're right, it does feel good to unsubscribe from something every once in a while, right? It
Nice.
gives you that clean slate feeling and clean out the inbox and clean mentally or physically or whatever virtually it is. What did you unsubscribe from that inspired you to write
Oh,
that
I
track?
unsubscribe all the time. I'm constantly unsubscribing, and when sometimes when you unsubscribe and then you still are on the list,
Yes.
it's very
Walgreens.
aggravating.
Walgreens, what's going on,
Dude,
Walgreens?
kill me now. Yeah, I just, I don't know. I think a lot about the phone, and I think a lot about the computer, and I'm trying to embrace it. It is what it is. I mean, I've never posted so much. Uh, I've never been on social media so much as I have that I finished this record, and that's literally what you do when you make a record now.
Right.
Now, I didn't have to do this before, but now I do. So I have to figure it out and embrace it, but I I I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, you know. I don't know. I hope we don't lose daydreaming,
Yeah.
and I hope we don't lose human interaction. I know we're interacting online and things, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I sound like an old lady, but I worry for my kids in that I'm just constantly thinking about it. So I wrote a lot about it on this record. I just wrapped it up in dance music.
Yeah. Keep those conversations at the car wash alive.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have a track on the record that you particularly enjoyed, or anything that you really liked putting together that I didn't bring up?
One of my favorites is All That I Are. Um, Only because I think it's the most kind of introspective. It's the most like where I was at or am at, at this time. Just kind of and it, I guess it is about, daydreaming and remembering to continue to um you know it's not really goals, but it's like dreams. It's like, well, what else do you want to try and do in this life? What else do you
Right.
want, like, um and I don't know, I wonder if we when we start getting older, we kind of stop doing that a little bit. I feel like I stopped doing that, and setting kind of new things that I wanted to accomplish, or just, it doesn't have to be career stuff, but just um so I kind of wrap that up in that song, and that was a really fun one, and I had to wait a while for the right words to come. I was like,
Mm.
no, no, this track is real. I There's something really special to me about this track, so I want to make sure the words are really. And then I feel really good about it, and so I love that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
You've got, as you said, you've got some touring coming up. Can you tell us about it? Where you're expecting to go, or how long it's going to be, or what folks can expect if they come out to see you?
Yeah. Well, I have dates on sale right now for the West Coast. We have a 10-day run. LA, San Diego, Seattle, Portland, all around there. And then in early November, we're going to be going to the East Coast. So, New Jersey, maybe,
That's
if
me.
you want to come out,
There we go.
letting you know.
My birthday
We're going to
month. I'll
announce
see you
those
for my
soon.
birthday. It'll be my birthday in New Jersey here. We'll come to see you.
Nice, nice. We'll sing you happy birthday. Yeah, and I'm currently getting the band together. I've had the same band for many, many years, and for whatever reason, this time around, a few of them aren't able to join us. So I'm gonna have some fresh blood, and we're changing the show, and so there's a lot of mystery right now, even to me,
Good.
around it all. But I'm looking forward to being a little nervous, um and having some new, things for people to kind of see, or new songs, and new renditions of old songs, because so many of the people who come to my shows have been to a bunch of shows, and then
Right.
they come and they bring new friends, which is amazing. So I'm excited to give them a new experience, if that makes sense.
Sure. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, very
So
good, Nika. I really appreciate your time, and this is a really fun record. And let's reissue Nika and Strings. Let's do this.
yeah, man, I know. I gotta write that down. I'm gonna write that down right now.
I'd be happy to write the liner notes, and I could start by saying, she didn't even realize that it was worth
Because of
all
me.
this money on the used market, and I let her know.
Maybe I'll just go on eBay and buy them all.
Maybe you should, if you have some, well, I don't know if you have some kicking around the house, maybe you should put them up on eBay.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
Make my car payment.
absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Nika, and
Thank you.
best of luck with the album and best of luck with the tour. Stay safe
Thank you.
and
See you
be
in New
well.
Jersey.
Yeah, we'll see you in New Jersey.
Okay.